what do I need in life? What makes me happy? Is it all this stuff I'm lugging around? Is it the stuff I need to maintain that I don't even touch or look at, and then every time I move, I got to haul them around just to have them? And when you go through like a loss, it resets your mindset around, what do I need in life? What do I really need in life? I'm going to keep going. I mean, and then also I'm fine. I'm fine. Actually, I'm kind of unburdened by what has been.
Yeah.
So
Oh my God. Here we go. Hey,
not to bring that up.
yeah, that
Um,
goblin. God, could you imagine what the world would look like if that goblin was sitting in the chair right now?
we'd
Oh
be
my
in
God.
freaking hell right now. I'd be stacking and evaluating what escape hatch is where. I'd be
Yeah,
looking
like,
at El Salvador or something. I have no idea,
yeah,
but it would be a bad, bad time. Um,
absolutely nightmare.
Not that Bitcoin cares. I mean, there's plenty of political things rumbling in the world. And at the same time, I'll get like caught up in some of that. And then I'll go, Bitcoin keeps running and I keep doing what I can in that space. And yeah, how much do I need to care?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I've kind of abandoned all of it. Like, people, I keep, like, I'll log into Twitter once in a while because it's kind of part of my job now, like promoting MicroSeed. Like, I have to run that account. Like, my personal account, I kind of go, once in a while I'll, like, retweet something or whatever. But the brand account, like, I have to just like get in every day, and I actually forgot today. That's hilarious, actually, Stacker. Like, I totally know what you mean there. But
I feel that.
yeah, like 100%. And well, but anyway, the what the hell was I saying? Oh yeah, twittering,
Yeah.
right? So twittering along, and then I'll see somebody just like latest political thing. Here's they're going to release the list. They're not going to release the list. Oh, we're so mad at Trump. Everyone's so bent out of shape. I'm just like, and I almost feel like maybe something just broke in my brain because I'm just kind of like, like I don't get, like none
Well,
of this shit matters to me. Like I just don't care.
yeah. There's big things out there. Big Are they whales? And the whales are fighting out in the ocean. But as a minnow, I can just be like, I can always go over there. And honestly, what do their waves affect me about other than
Yeah,
a huge distraction?
right.
There's an aspect of me that wants to know and not be totally naive. So I'll take a look and I'll get a sense at a meta level, like the powers at play, the blackmail autocracy that we have. I feel like Trump holds all the blackmail cards right now, maybe.
Oh, I thought you
And
were
if he
saying a
does,
black male, not blackmail.
blackmail, one word.
Like all my
And
racist, like all my racist shit just came out in
no,
one little like
well,
burr.
it's a weird word we have there, but we have a blackmail autocracy. And so, whatever that is, however that plays in that game, um, yeah, I can only tolerate so much, because if it starts affecting my quality time in any way, it's too much. Um, so anyway, I have friends and family like, did you hear this, or what about that, or like, everything from, on one hand, the oceans could boil, to there's a reptilian cabal with a pentagram of child trafficking, everything. And
Yeah,
it's like, whoo, that's way beyond my scope of everything. Even as locally, there's things about that we work on and fight. Um, Man, the big tales out there, the mythology, I can only peripherally be aware of. But TikTok next block for me, and that includes my family and my quality time, and yeah,
yeah,
local community. Um, I think a lot of Bitcoiners, maybe a good chunk of Bitcoiners today, have only seen a steady, somewhat number go up experience set for the past year, maybe past year plus, where it kind of just was like boop, 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 and nothing too horrible there. And whereas they haven't experienced that ride down and test of that faith. And so, in a way, it's a good thing to have. I think a lot of Bitcoiners now can easily be, yeah, it's a roller coaster, but it just goes up.
yeah.
Um,
Sooner or later, yeah. I don't know, man. Like it's as I kind of look at the state of the world, like especially with the with the book in the back of my brain, like it sort of changes how I kind of view all of that stuff anyway, right? Like let a number go up, number go down, what the latest political red and blue nonsense is. Like a lot of my thesis kind of strips away a lot of the noise, right? And just goes,
Yeah.
well, what you can see are people making moves on a chessboard, right? So you go, all right, so what effect do I have on the player making the moves? None. Oh, okay. But I can kind of get out of the outrage stream and just go, well, should I be outraged by this guy making a play on the chessboard? Well, no, like just like I wouldn't be any more outraged if Gary Kasparov was making a move against whatever chess player is today, right? You just kind of look at it as like, oh, that's just the game, and that's just the way that game gets played. And I am sort of subject to the rules of that game or to the non-rules of that game. I'm subject to the players on some level. So what should I focus on? Right? You go, well, I can become a player just by owning a property that they are going to want and need and don't realize it yet. So I'll just do that. And then at some point in the near future, I think much sooner than people think, there's going to be that moment where it's like, oh, I'm not subject to your whims anymore because the game changed and you didn't realize it and I did. So guess what? There's a new sheriff in town and there's a million of us, so good luck trying to figure out how to navigate the new world, right? And
Yeah.
I think when that happens, I think it's going to be a pretty magical transformation for the world, dude. Like because all the nonsense that they have to peddle to, you know, because they're positioning to try and capture resources, right? They're all making these little like positioning moves to try and, they're going to push this lever, they're going to push that lever, they're going to push the, homelessness, or they're going to push immigration or whatever it is. They're picking all these little like hot button issues, but meanwhile in the background they're still just trying to, they're all maneuvering, right? They're all just trying to put their piece in the most advantageous place so they can get more resources, they can get more control over you and your life and the fruits of your labor and your productivity. So if you can start slowly opting out of that game, or you're playing the right game with the right rules, then they wield less and less influence over those kind of things. So they'll still be powerful, but the way they can retain their power changes dramatically. I think it's going to be kind of cool, man.
Yeah, and the financial world is now becoming more and more steadily aware of Bitcoin, and man, you can move it quickly. It's 24/7. That's different. That's kind of helpful actually. And gee, maybe we got to get in on this a little bit, or maybe, boy, we really shift our whole business model. On Marty Bent's podcast, TFTC, he had a guest on that was talking about as an option trader with 25 years of experience predicts that Bitcoin's unique properties as a bearer asset will trigger what he calls a big long, so a derivatives market implosion that could become systemic to the global financial system. So unlike traditional assets, Bitcoin can be withdrawn to self-custody within hours and creates an unprecedented dynamic where institutional hedging strategies could catastrophically fail during the next financial crisis. So with an infinitely scarce resource, there's nobody to tap on the shoulder to print more of. When institutions like Goldman Sachs sell portfolio insurance on Bitcoin holdings, they have to borrow Bitcoin to hedge their exposure. But in a crisis, investors withdraw Bitcoin to self-custody, and the available supply will evaporate rapidly. So it creates a feedback loop.
Oh my God, dude. How long is this going to go on for?
It's almost done. Funding rates explode. Futures trade at a steep discount. Derivatives complex locks up entirely. Could unfold any week, month, year. Anyway, it's part of the great realignment is what I'm saying. And this stuff's going to, so all of that word salad to say that these institutions are grappling with a new asset, a new paradigm, and however they flagellate about it, they're going to have to realign, and they can't have the same incentives.
Yeah, well, what I mean, like as you read through that, like I hear a lot of that sort of like collapse scenario stuff. Like there's no shortage of people that are predicting the collapse of everything. But there always have been, right? For the last 12,000 years, there's always been some guy that comes along and goes, the end is nigh, and historically speaking, they're wrong like 99% of the time, right? Like things do collapse sometimes, things do go sideways and south, and but they tend to be localized events, right? But I'm kind of curious what you think, like in reading through that, like what do you think of like the idea that that Bitcoin's going to introduce this thing that makes it impossible for people to like hedge derivatives, and because like that whole derivatives thing, from my perspective, I go, that thing's been since 1996, when they're like, hey, guess what, guys, like the Wall Street bros all got together and went, we got these little like math dudes that say they can make this stuff that we can just like sell for infinite profit. Really? Does that work? I don't know. Like they got formulas, and they're I mean, these guys are like rocket scientists, dude, but they say there's like a 0.1% chance of this thing blowing up in our face. So let's just like sell the shit out of this. Okay. And they're just like printing money with this. And so they blew up this entire, like the notional value of the derivatives market today is like $600 trillion. I mean, it's an insane, like you if you look at that, you just go, how that's 20 times the entire output of the global economy.
Yeah.
Who's hedging that? There is no hedge, right? Like that's the, I can't remember the guy's name. Is like there's no lender of last resort here. There's no thing backstopping any of this. It's just like it's gonna pop, and if it pops, everyone dies.
There is no hedge. There is no hedge. There's
right.
only Bitcoin.
Right. Yeah. So you kind of look at that and you go, well, what's the likelihood that all these people are just going to let that happen? Like they're going to just engineer some other nonsense because like the outcome is horrible. Like everybody suffers and dies. Right. So you go, yeah, I would like to think, just in the nature of self-preservation, that these lunatics that have gone and just levered up the entire world to its eyeballs, and have all this debt upon debt upon debt upon debt that's all levered, and there's no guy that's like at the bottom of that chain that can pay for the problem, right? But that was the great financial crisis. They go, hey, we should just let all these firms fail. Oh, what's that look like? Well, you're gonna have like breadlines would be a great outcome at this point. Like that's you can't do that. Like we're too far down this road to let that thing happen. And that's sort of Lynn Alden's point, is like nothing stops that train. Like that thing is going
the
full
curve now.
steam ahead. So I'm curious, from the guest from the TFTC podcast, like what do you think in terms of like the idea that somehow Bitcoin is going to disrupt that so severely that it actually collapses? Because if that happens, like Bitcoin isn't going to save anybody from anything, dude. Like it's going to be Mad Max, dude. It's not going to be like, yay, we're all free from the fiat chains. It's like, oh, the whole thing that we all rely on for survival is gone. Like that. I don't know. What do you think, man?
And I'm no TradFi bro, and I can't speak all the language. I can read it and get my mind around it. But I think in that fiat world and that game that they play over on that side of things, I think when they play in that game, it can very much be affected or be pushed around by basically the fiat price of Bitcoin. So if they start adjusting their strategies around Bitcoin, they're relying perhaps on the price of Bitcoin going up. If it goes down, they can really get messed around. If it goes up, they can benefit, but in ways where I think investors or customers or retail market or they themselves would go, could have just bought Bitcoin. And it may help them get a little more based. I think they can't help but always want to play the games around it all.
Yeah.
So like trying to get my mind around Michael Saylor and all of his strategies, where there's a pentagram now, where there's this new asset he released like this week, Stretch, STRC.
Yeah.
And it's yet another way to go long on this thing and the yield games. And it's this pentagram of 5 assets that all connect to its base center point of Bitcoin. But trying to get my mind around all that is like, you know what? It's another game in a way. And I like Saylor, but it's like, you know what? Stick to Bitcoin. Don't get wrecked. Don't get levered.
I would
Um,
remind anybody listening to this right now that the nature of the game is competitive resource capture. The most
yeah,
valuable, scarce asset piece of property that you can capture today that's ever existed in the history of mankind is Bitcoin. And so
yep,
you've got a guy who is an evangelist for Bitcoin, hold your Bitcoin. I want to stack as much Bitcoin as possible. Has now created all these vehicles so he and him alone and his company can stack massive amounts of Bitcoin by converting paper into Bitcoin. And he's luring all these like Wall Street bros in because he is speaking their language and he's giving them vehicles upon which to play in
yeah,
fiat land. Meanwhile, he's stacking more Bitcoin than anybody else on planet Earth right now. So you go, what? If you look at it and you go, oh, he's playing fiat games. You go, maybe, or he's playing the competitive resource capture game and he is capturing the most valuable resource at a pace that is just alarmingly fast, right? And I tend to view towards the latter thing. I go, well, the game is competitive resource capture. You need to capture land, people, valuable resources. Period. That's the more of that you capture, the more power you have, the better player you are. And there are no rules to the game. So however you can figure out how to capture those resources is a valid way to play the game. And he is playing a game at a level that is like, oh, wait, I've got a vehicle to capture resources and I can lever all of this fiat nonsense to capture a ton of these resources and people are paying me to do it. This is awesome, right? But it's
yeah,
just like Elon Musk is capturing all these enormous resources and people are paying him for the joy of it because he's such a good salesman at being a green energy guy or the electric car guy or the go to Mars guy or whatever. But meanwhile he is stacking up everything the state wants, ballistic missile technology, infrastructure technology, communications technology, social media technology, AI technology. Like he is just like scooping all that shit up like it's going out of style, and people are just like bobbing on his knob because they like what he says about Tesla or whatever. So it's like, so it just depends on how you look at the game, right? And that's kind of one of the things that makes it more relaxing for me in my personal sphere because of my personal thesis and my personal theory is I go, well, they're playing the game of competitive resource capture and they're playing the modern version of it. It's
yeah,
not kings and queens and go bonk the other guy on the head and lay siege to his castle. It's like, well, we got to be a little more sophisticated about it now. But these two guys are right now are, and I don't think Sailor gets enough credit. Like, I think he is just as powerful, if not more powerful on that board than Elon Musk is. They just, no one's
yeah.
put those pieces together yet. But when they do, woo, doggies, it's going to be a different kind of world.
Yeah. So, like in a previous podcast where you brought up comparing Elon Musk and Sailor in terms of the competitive resource capture game, guys like Musk may have the tangible assets and the things that do stuff in the world. Sailor, meanwhile, sits on, like Johnny says here, it's like the pure energy. It cannot be destroyed or transmuted. So, in a way, yeah. Well, so Bitcoin simply is and can be part of the great realignment.
Yeah.
Um,
I like what you said there. I mean, and to Stacker's question, well, why don't you take this one, Fritz? What do you think?
I was just thinking about this, Stacker. So now I don't see it in like this current administration, but you imagine down the road or that alternate timeline where, if that bullet had been a couple inches different, we'd be in a different lifestyle. Or imagine that we're, you know, um, um, you know, moving forward from what has been, um, and there'd be a 6102 attack. Um, One, get your Bitcoin off exchanges. I think entities like Coinbase and all, and well, who knows, all of them would be subject to having to comply with the banking rules, and as they do, and they would be susceptible to whatever the government was like. Hey, we're gonna, yeah, you're gonna have the numbers on your books, but we own it now. Okay, or they just overtly take it, or do whatever they want to do, and they steal the Bitcoin. One, get off exchange. If you sit on your Bitcoin, it's the number one hard asset, can't be stolen from you. Now, where does that leave Bitcoiners? Okay, I have self custody of my little slice in this game. Can't be taken from me. They can't know it, find it, whatever. However the chain analysis wants to know what they think they know, and yet they can't take it from you. They could make threats. They could send you a letter. They could say, "Hey, we think this or that." Um, ooh, doggy. That means one, you can always do Bitcoin transactions regardless, and your market may be, buying stuff by Bitcoin or a black market or whatever. Or you have to evaluate what jurisdiction you're in and what that means to you, how important it is to, you know, one of your freedoms is to relocate with your feet. I see states fighting it. States have passed some legislations about, various states about CBDCs or other things. I could see states variously fighting it. It could be that governance forces various jurisdictions to bend the knee. So then you're looking at, do I need to go somewhere? Do I need to relocate? Do I need to change my life? Maybe. Also, maybe not. Maybe you can, you know, you always keep your Bitcoin even as you function in a fiat world, and you change the nature of how you accumulate your Bitcoin. Uh, man, it's a big tangled concept here that I'm not really sure entirely where that would leave us.
Well, I can share a thought. Like, well, first of all, I love that gently hijack all systems. Like, that's a great way to frame it, man. I love that, Johnny. Thank you. I might steal that. So that's
Yeah,
outstanding. But in terms of like a 6102, like that's obviously a lot easier with physical gold. But you have to also think like back then the gold people had the same problem, right? You go like, where do I spend my gold now that I'm not allowed to have it? So it becomes problematic. The thing I kind of liken it to though is like if you have it in self custody, there are things you can do that require a little bit of technical know-how to sort of move that stuff around. So you can kind of, and there's something as crude as the boating accident,
right.
like, and there is not that I would suggest anybody should do something like this, or it'd
This is
be
not financial or legal advice.
definitely not financial or legal advice, and just hypothetically, and I mean very hypothetically, I should probably say like Justin Bieber and something else in there, Selena Gomez. That'll make the robot happy, right? But after Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez, what you could do is like if you went boating with Selena Gomez and Justin Bieber, and you really love their music. I'm trying to avoid whatever YouTube might think of this
Flag
idea.
us about.
Yeah, so Justin Bieber, Selena Gomez, but if you did say transfer like some of your stack to I don't know, a different wallet and then reported it missing because you got scammed. Like not all of it, right? Like, but I mean, if you got scammed because you transferred your Bitcoin to a wallet you didn't recognize, oopsie daisy, and you
Yeah,
reported it to the authorities when they go, hey, we need to get this. You go, oh, yeah, I reported that missing. Remember? And they go, oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry. Yeah, we didn't realize that you were missing, 1.75 Bitcoin. So, okay,
right.
well, we just need the 0.5 you have left. Okay, I guess. Do you really have to take it? I kind of like it. And that's gonna leave me with none. And so if you were boating with Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez and you just happened to accidentally transfer your Bitcoin to one of their wallets on accident, oopsie daisy, and then just said, hey, Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez scammed me out of 1.62 Bitcoin on this day. And you report it to the authorities and they could trace it and they go, yeah, it's in a wallet and we don't know where it is. And you go, oh, gosh dang it, I'm so dumb. You guys were right. I shouldn't have been messing with Bitcoin. I hope you guys are picking up what I'm putting down. I'm probably being overly cryptic for no good reason whatsoever. But in order to avoid things like that, you should start planning now, is the broad sort of the thesis behind this. Is like, don't keep all your stack in one spot. Definitely keep it all in self custody and make sure that you have some access to some Bitcoin that, like Vexel at Vexel, VEXL. If you run test flight on your iPhone and if you have a jailbroken Google, or maybe you can Google on Google, it's banned in the United States. It's a Czech company, but it's a way that you can trade Bitcoin in person. And it can seem a little shady because you're like going, well, hey, I've got some Bitcoin for sale. Meet me in this parking lot. And it's like, how do I know you're not going to just bash me on the head or whatever, right? But there are checks and balances in there to help kind of prevent that sort of thing. But you
Right.
can run Vexel and you can install it on an iPhone through test flight, and you can go find people in the world that will trade you in person some Bitcoin for some dirty fiat.